Hello everybody, it is Sunday the 17th of September. I want to talk about a few things here, that those that lead into captivity will go into captivity. I want to talk about what is happening here right now is actually the justice of Queen Ester, like they're building their own gallows. Not only for us, they're building them for themselves. And I want to talk about that you should fear God. And if fear is justified, it is your servant. So, I want to show these things really to the outcome that we can envision, where we think this thing is going. And I don't think we can actually see the outcome, or they, like the Klaus Schwabs and stuff, I want to talk about them, they cannot see the outcome because it's not human. Therefore, it is beyond our understanding, or it is beyond what we can imagine at the moment out of the knowledge that we are. I want to show that too, or maybe you should fear it. So, just seeing how this prison, this control structure, is being built at the moment, and as I said, the people that are building it are completely short-sighted. And they cannot see that they are building gallows on which they themselves can be hung. I want to show you this here. Now, the lowest part is we're operating on information and on emotions. That is what is creating us. Yeah? On the lowest level, the woolly sheep, at the moment, they're operating on an information, and they are full on driven by their emotions. I mean, full on driven by their emotions. Ruled over by them. The information being that if, let's see, at the moment the climate change thing is if the temperature goes up by 1.5 degrees, the whole thing is going to go belly up and the world will burn up or something. And they are full on, it's not just fear, it's also love and compassion. And the willingness to self-sacrifice for the greater good, yeah? But they're operating on that information. And that is really, and they've been shown a very small window of data, yeah? If you look at the graph of world temperature as they have estimated from the ice cores, yeah? And you see the really big picture, the temperature on this earth is actually extremely low at the moment. Extremely low. But, yeah, they're not being shown that picture. And if you think about it, when they say, well, our activity is raising the temperature of the planet, I'm not altogether sure that that is wrong. Because every part that is here and the activity of every part that is here has an impact on everything else. Yeah, we are not an island. We're not existing disconnected from everything else. We're not. So, yeah, quite conceivably, it has got an impact. And maybe we do rise the temperature with what we're doing. But if you see on the big graph how low down we actually are at the moment, maybe that's a good thing, if we do rise it a few degrees. But as I said, they're not seeing that. They're in a very small pocket of information. Yeah, and then fully driven by their emotions. And they create havoc at the moment, completely. Yeah, they're destructive to the system. Now, folks, this system is not perfect. By no means. Could do with improvement left, right, and center. Absolutely. But I don't think it is as broken as they tell us it is, because it functioned for a long time. Yeah? And really this extreme is very recent. When you look in history, it's very recent. We had something that was halfway working. So we don't need to throw the whole thing out of the window. But that is what they're doing. They're disrupting it as much as they can and creating instability. So then the next level up, and they are driven by fear. And again, folks, do not throw fear out of the window. Yes, if you are in fear, you cannot take in much information. That is probably why they're operating on just the little bit they're being given, because they can't take in any more anyway, the emotion that they're in. But if the danger is clear and present and there, fear is justified and it will be your servant. Because if the danger is clear and present, you don't have much time to think. Yeah, and you shouldn't be contemplating God knows how many things, because by that time you will have been trampled. So, yeah, at that moment it is your servant. So you should see where it should serve. The fact is that they are operating on a idea that the fear that the danger is clear and present, when in reality it is not. So their fear is not justified at that moment. That's a mistake. It's not fear itself. It's been used in the wrong way. So, but let's go up. And so they are just the ones that are causing the disruption and the destruction. But now we come to the level of the politicians, and here we really come to where they're implementing laws that will imprison themselves. They may think themselves above, but they're not. And again, I would put politicians in two different separate categories: those that acquiesce out of fear, and those that are in bed with those that are in greed, operating on greed. That is industry and corporations. But let's talk about the ones that acquiesce at the moment. And again, they are extremely short-sighted. They're operating in fear. They cannot see what is actually happening, or what their options actually are, or where they are actually at, again, what the situation actually truly is that they're in. They don't see it. Let's go on with the climate change thing and the smart meters, yeah? Which is something that is going, I believe is going through here in Britain, through Parliament. And that there should be a law that the police can come into your house and install those meters against your will, and they're trying to make that law. Now, again, politicians that are in fear and that are acquiescing because if they go against that, they will be cancelled. Yeah? That means they lose their job. Okay, they lose their income. They might lose their homes if they care for their families. You know, they want to provide for their families. That is a point. Yeah? There's always a bit of truth in the hook so that you swallow it. Because if there was no truth at all there that you could see, you wouldn't swallow it. Come to that in the end. But, so there is this bit of truth. But what they're not seeing is that as long as that law, or once that law is enforced, they will be part of that law. That means the police can come into their house and install that thing. Yeah? And really, they may think themselves above it, and yeah, I can see it happening. That thing is not going to be installed in every house in the country, obviously not. No, there will be those that will be above. that will not be part of this. Yeah? It's for the plebs, to keep them under control. But the fact is, if you are then in the elite that is above, then the only way you can stay in that place is your acquiescence. Yeah? Right now you may still have a way out, but then once it's law, and that is you have built the gallows, you are now part of that law, and now your acquiescence will be absolutely required, or you will join the plebs. And then there will be no other way. But you are creating that. You are creating that situation. And what you're not seeing is that at this moment in time, you still have freedom. Yeah, you still have freedom. And maybe even by speaking your truth to others and coming into agreement and going up against that lunacy, you can still do it. There's still that window of opportunity until you close it yourself. You are tightening the noose yourself. I mean, I have this example of what the government did in the pandemic, when it was said that every healthcare worker had to be taken the jab at a certain date or they would lose their job. Yeah? And many did. Again, the same fear. You lose your job, you lose your home, you can't support your family. Many did, and sadly including my husband. And then just a few days before, the government they U-turned. They changed their mind. They said, okay, no, we're not going to enforce this. They couldn't enforce that. They never had that power. It was not based in law. So the entire time, the healthcare workers were free to reject that. It's just so many did not realize they had that freedom. And it's the same now. We still have freedom. We do not have to create those laws under which we will then be ruled ourselves. And as I said, if you want to then go above the plebs, then that means your acquiescence is going to be absolutely required. And if they do something that goes against your conscience, you have very little wiggle room left, because there will be consequences, and you have made the consequences into law yourself. That's where acquiescence leads you. Anyway, so let's talk about the next level up. And we're still talking about useful idiots, I think. Yeah? Driven, no longer driven by fear maybe at that point, but by greed, which is a different animal. But it does its works as well. Greed and the will to have everything, the will to rule over everything, the one that see themselves as elevated, and it's still this idea of by the power of God, you've been elevated to rule over everything else. It's like a natural law, which it's not. Many people already know it's not natural law at all, but they're still operating on that idea. And so they are building a system in which they will rule over everything else. Now we're coming to the Klaus Schwabs, to the whatever up there, that level. Yeah? And they are now again trying to implement something, because they're operating on money and on power through money. So they are now operating on bringing in the digital currency, the one world digital currency. Again, they will have to operate within that system. Again, at the moment they think they will be in charge of that system. They will be at the top, and really, again, it is for the plebs, not for them themselves. But, I mean, if you see yourself in the position of a Klaus Schwab, yeah? So if you are in the position of power, yeah, fine. Yeah, you can do it then. But what if you are kicked off your position of power? Then somebody else can do it to you. Yeah, they can switch you off. They can switch your finances off. And anybody else who's hanging onto that tree, yeah, you are implementing it. You can be switched off once that thing is in place. You can be cut off from your finances. You can be controlled. And again, the only way you can stay above being affected in that way is your full-on acquiescence with everything that is being said and done. Or again, you will fall to the level of a pleb. And again, your conscience. You will have to do away with your conscience. And that is actually doing away with our humanity. Yeah? When we no longer go by knowing good and bad according to ourselves, but we're operating under pressure. And we are subduing our own nature, our own knowing. That's what this thing is doing. But that is the way of God. Now we're coming to the level of God. Because where is this actually leading? Yeah? What is the outcome of all of this? Now, we know according to ourselves. Yeah? And the likes of a Klaus Schwab and everybody else there, they have total tunnel vision, the intention of having everything for themselves and driven by greed. And I would say other things like pride and vanity. I mean, have you seen Klaus Schwab in that idiotic outfit? I mean, what does he think he looks like? Anyway, greed, vanity, pride is the energy that's driving them to the outcome, and it is tunnel vision because they're only on that narrow band of emotion that shows them a certain outcome, and that is we will rule over everything. That's all they can see. And they believe themselves to be at the top of the tree. But what if there is? I've just watched, my grandson was just watching something on YouTube, and this saying came again from Star Wars. There's always a bigger fish. What if there's a bigger fish that they are not seeing in their own tunnel vision of their own glory that they're going to in the end? Now, the Bible and other things will tell us there is a level above that. Yeah? Now, the Bible tells you there is a kingdom that is not yet of this world, and that kingdom is not human. Now, the likes of a Klaus Schwab, even those idiots that run in fear, or actually on any emotion, into an extreme, is what they're doing. Yeah, they're becoming the extreme, the outer edge of where that emotion can take you. But they are, in essence, still human. Yeah, they're far from perfect, they're extremely imbalanced, but they are, in essence, still human. But there's something above that is not. That is not human at all. Yeah? And they have those working in this world that are really the instigators of all of this, that are building this structure. And they have their really useful idiots in the structures, building it for them, and really building their own gallows. Not just for the plebs. You will be caught in the same thing. So those above them, and here come the enlightened ones, those that say that they have transcended. That is to say, they have transcended their humanity, and they're rather proud of that. They are no longer human. Yeah? Again, a Klaus Schwab who is driven, as I said, on greed, vanity, pride, stuff like that, human emotions, that will show him an outcome, a glorious future where we all eat bugs and he's, I don't know what he's doing, he's sitting in some palace somewhere, ruling over the whole thing. But as I said, that vision is shown to him on those emotions. But that cannot be the outcome that the next level is envisaging, because they are no longer operating on those emotions. They have transcended that. They've gotten out of it. So what is their vision then? And here is, again, something I thought of this morning, and that was the Hopi prophecy. You know, the part of the blue and the red Ticino. And this picture of, the blue one dancing in the village square or something like that, until it takes off its masks and shows its true face. And that face is not human. God is not human. Whatever is described there as God in the Bible is not human. Their values are not grown out of the experience of this life, out of the connections that we have to each other, of the connections we have to nature, out of the connections we have to this world as a whole, as our home, and our family, and our friends, and the values of good and bad that grow out of that. They have none of those. And I would say they operate, but when you see that the future as what Klaus Schwab can envisage, driven on those emotions, then that is as far as your human imagination can take you. You're going to the outer edge of what you can know. And what is coming is something you do not know. And then the last thing is not quite the last thing, but one thing is, if that was something that we could joyfully come into agreement with, and this is just simple logic, yeah? Doesn't take the brains of an archbishop. If that was something that we could joyfully come into agreement with, why does it need this structure of control? Because that's what they're building for them, for the next level. Why would they need that structure of control if it's something that we could agree with? We won't. We will not agree. And this is then maybe when the Bible tells you you should fear God. As I said in the beginning, if there is a clear and present and real danger, then your fear is justified. And it is truth. Maybe you should listen to it. And say that fear warns you of danger. That if you fear God, means God represents danger, not salvation. And here's the last thing I want to say, and that is the higher up you go on that greasy pole, yeah, the more danger you are in and the least free you are. Yeah? Those are in the highest positions are in the most danger because everybody else wants it. And everybody that is close to the highest position has the least wriggle room, because they will be in a position where they can be seen by all, so they can absolutely not put a foot wrong, unless they will be cancelled and get thrown out of heaven and have to join the plebs and the smart meters and the jabs. and money that can be switched off at any moment in time. So they are in the most danger, and they are the least free. And here's the saying, and I don't know if that is a human saying or if that is actually that came from a knowledge that came from out there. And that saying is, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Yeah? So that is life at the top. It is the least free place you can be. And then really envisage Jesus having brought his knowledge to heaven to serve, and is now being placed right next to the throne of power. Yeah, why? Because the knowledge that he brought, when you read it, when you look at it, I don't want to go there at the moment, but it is that which would have set us free. So it is of the most danger to that kingdom. So he's sitting him right next to himself, we can keep a good eye on him. That's, to me, that is the height of it. So anyway, we have still got wiggle room at the moment. I mean, even if the thing goes into law, we still have wiggle room, because the laws are created by man, and man can change the law. We are creating laws to serve us. And if they don't serve us, we can change them. We should change them. They should not rule over us, but serve us. Anything should. Knowledge we have should serve us. And then we need to see ourselves correctly as being connected to one another, being part of this world, and it should serve the whole. And what's happening at the moment is only serving something that wants to have dominion over this world. And the reason why it's been sold to you as being the truth is because you're being only shown very small, completely distorted pieces of information on which you then operate as the truth. And you're being driven by your emotions, because that's what you are. You operate on information and on emotion. Yeah? And they are sheep herding you toward this thing. But, I mean, even those at the higher levels, can they not see that they are enslaving themselves? They may think they're doing this to enslave us, but they're building their own prison. And maybe if they would wake up to at least that, maybe they would stop being so bloody stupid. Anyway, I leave it at that for today, and I talk to you again soon. Bye.